the simple answer is yes. As a former Junior Minister of Environment in the Martin government, I can tell you that clean technologies, new technologies are important. It is important retrofitting, and we are committed to up to $13,500 in terms of energy efficiency, whether it's windows, doors, whatever it is in your home. We want to save energy, and one of the ways to do that is to provide those credits. The government had a program a few years ago where they actually cut it in midstream. I actually had constituents call me who said, well, I've already spent the money, and now we've been told we've been cut off. No notification, by the way, to members of Parliament. So upgrading your roofing, lowering your energy consumption, these are very, very important. It's a global issue, and we can do, as they say, you act locally, and one of the ways you can do that is providing this credit. It's absolutely an essential element in our platform, the Green Renovation Tax Credit. I believe very strongly in it, and I have worked on those kind of projects over the years. Again, it is all about empowering the homeowner. The homeowner is empowered if, in fact, they have that, and that's an incentive for them to go out and do that. Certainly, when it's a washing machine or a dryer, we see right on there the amount of energy you save, and you get a rebate. This, I think, is important. It's an incentive that Canadians want, and I think it would be very short-sighted and, in fact, bad public policy. And remember, as a member of Parliament, the three words I never hear often in Ottawa anymore is good public policy. Well, this is a good public policy that I think we should be doing.
Now, Cameron, what's your view?
You know, what I would say about this is I think it's a great start. I don't know that it goes far enough, and I don't know that it goes fast enough. I can speak to some very specific and personal experience in this area in an initiative that I've been privileged to be a part of, which is the creation of what is known as a net zero energy home. It's a home that produces as much energy as it consumes. Now, the interesting piece about this is all these technologies are available today, and the reason that they're unaffordable is that they're not being consumed en masse. So we've got to have a program like this, and it's a place to start, but we've got to go faster and farther in terms of what's available for homeowners, because we can literally build homes today that operate on the grid but only need the grid when there are peak periods. So it's a start. We've got to go farther. We've got to go faster. We've got to reinvent the process, but it's a place to start.
Adam.
Yes. I wrote down yes, just as Bryon was saying it, because yes, we should improve that program, and we should bring it back. The New Democrats have some more solutions to propose. This is a topic that is important to me, as in parallel to my degree in electrical engineering, I got a certificate in preventive engineering and social development, which did talk about the kinds of sustainable solutions that we need. And yes, that it wasn't only the technology that we talked about, it's the barriers to implementing that technology. One of those problems is cash flow. Having a credit is great, but you have to have the money to take advantage of that credit. Well, we do propose some loan programs. Also, we're proposing higher standards for building codes. If you take a look around Richmond Hill, go to many small industrial buildings, you will see there's zero insulation between the warehouse and the offices. There's zero insulations between the warehouse and the outside. It gets cold in those offices. And for the price of some 2x2s, some styrofoam, and some glue, a lot could be done. And when you multiply this out by thousands of workplaces, the savings really pile up. And of course, that's going to lower the cost for our businesses, and everybody wins. We become more competitive, the environment is less polluted, and we have fuel savings, and we're warmer.
Now, okay, go ahead.
There's no question that providing a tax credit will save you money, but it also will make it a cleaner environment. And certainly I've championed those conditions in Richmond Hill over the years, whether it's arenas, whether it's in terms of more efficient cars, fleets for the municipality. And again, these have been initiated and I think are important in terms of the environment, because we have to be part of the solution. A greener environment, planting more trees. When I was on council, even as a member of Parliament, having to battle developers who wanted to cut down trees and say, well, we'll plant new ones. Well, you cut down a 50, 60, 100-year-old trees, I'm not going to live long enough to see them. And for me, it is about ensuring that the quality of the environment. The quality of the environment is not just your home, but it's also the greenery out there. It's improving the streams in your community, the ponds in your community, but making sure that the natural environment, as well as your livable environment in your house, can only be done if you have, again, the right insulation, if you have the kind of right roofing. And those kind of incentives, it's been shown people will do it if, in fact, there is that kind of incentive.
Well, I think the other thing to speak to on this is that we could talk about the impact on the environment, and we could talk about the impact of a clean environment on us as human beings, and the rest of the planet for that matter. But the other element here is this is a place where Canada should be a leader and could be a leader. There's no reason at all why taking on green technology, greening our cities, Richmond Hill is a perfect place to start, really going aggressively and going fast, creates economy. It creates an economy in and of itself. The way the technologies get deployed, the way that people start to go to work, at a new kind of Canada, at a new kind of community, at a sustainable community and in a sustainable home, that's an economic stimulus that will create new jobs. So it's not just looking isolated at the environment, but the impact that looking at the environment can have on the economy. And Canada should be a world leader here.
And do you know that the best place in Canada for windmills is in southeastern Alberta? And how do we know that? And that actually, those windmills help to power the lights in downtown Calgary. It's because in 2004 we created the first wind atlas. What's a wind atlas? Wind atlas was to find out where across the country are the windiest areas in order to build them. But not only to build them, but to make them economically viable to build them in Canada, not in the Netherlands or not in Germany.
I have a comment here that it's great that I think Canada is doing pretty well in terms of clean technology and environment protection. But I just have a question. Recently, Canada is also has some nuclear plant. We know the nuclear disaster in Japan. So I want to know from your point of view in terms of how to protect the environment, in terms of providing power to the community. What are some possible solutions or how to address these concerns of the voters in terms of this nuclear plant, which is not far from here?
Well, nuclear power, 50% of the power that's generated in this province is nuclear. And although the responsibility falls under provincial jurisdiction, Canada, of course, has CANDU reactors, which are considered the safest in the world. But the issue really is, and the Kyoto Protocol is silent on the nuclear issue, is that we have to make sure that regular inspections, we have to make sure that they are checked not only on a regular basis, but to ensure that the construction of those are reviewed in terms of what's going into them. It's no question that the Japanese situation, which in Fukushima is a very, very disturbing situation because of the leaks, particularly in terms of water. But at the end of the day, we working again as part of collaborative work. But unfortunately, the present government at Chalk River, simply when they got the regulator, independent regulator, said, we have a problem with Chalk River here, we've got to deal with it. What happened to her? She was fired.
Yeah.
Now, we also have to put in place those regulators, if they're going to be independent of government, they've got to be able to do their job. And if because someone sends us a report and says, here's a problem, we have to close this down, and yes, the isotopes are not going to be able to be made for X number of months or in a year, we can't say, well, we don't like that, too bad, out you go. And that does not build public confidence, which is obviously the issue.
Yeah. Well, I think when you speak to nuclear power, and I'd be stepping out a bit here and maybe putting my neck out, but nonetheless, I had a conversation with my father, and I remember it well. He said, oh, nuclear is the way to go. It's the future. It's what has to happen. And I said to him, well, nuclear is a good idea until it's not. And unfortunately, we then had the disaster that occurred in Japan. And, I would stand that we've got to move away from that. We've got to create systems that are renewable and that we create energy from what the earth provides us. And that's what I would say about that.